Well, I think that in a way, we're underestimating what's happening. I mean, the rise and fall of powers is hardly a new thing. But China is so different from Western nation states, the US, Britain, France, Germany, that have dominated hitherto, that there is an extraordinary kind of inability to understand what China's all about, because the language of international relations, the concepts of international relations, the realist ideas and so on, have been Western ideas forged in Western relationships. And China is something profoundly different.
What
it is
is
a civilization rather than a nation state. And so China's way of seeing things is rather different. That's why I think the idea that it's a threat in the way that, say, the Soviet Union was during the Cold War is wrong. And I don't think China has those kind of ambitions. But I think China wants to expand, its influence in terms of Chinese notions of, about its history, about chronology. These are all important, by the way, different from Western notions of chronology. What social relations are about, how societies are made up. I mean, these traditions in China are very different, and they don't just limit themselves to China within, but also they expand with China's rise. So this is very difficult for the West, I think, very, very difficult, because the West does not think in these terms. The West has been brought up thinking that, basically the world belongs to the West. And then suddenly there's this huge sort of phenomenon, and the West is totally ill-equipped. This is why, by the way, when the present stage happened with Trump and so on, the language that's dominated the Western response to China is the language of the old Cold War, the language of the relationship with the Soviet Union. Right. In other words, an inability to comprehend China.
All right, let me get some response from our Western friends who are on the panel or from the other guests on the panel, whether you think that Martin was correct in the way that he tried to look for the answer of the problem, or the root of the problem. Who would like to volunteer there? Kishore, I see you thinking profoundly. Do you agree or not?
Well, I would say that I agree with Martin. See, the fundamental problem in the world can be explained very, very simply. We've had 200 years of Western domination. But that 200 years of Western domination of world history was an aberration, because from the year 1 to the year 1820, for 1800 out of the last 2,000 years, the two largest economies were those of China and India. So what we are seeing in the 21st century, and I call it the Asian 21st century, why does the head of the IMF must be a European? Why should the head of the World Bank be an American? Why can't an Asian run the IMF? Why can't an Asian run the World Bank? But you see, this has never happened so far. So you can see, therefore, the world has to make adjustments. And I actually believe that the 1945 Western-created rules-based order is a gift to the world. If we follow the rules of 1945, we can make space for China, India, and the rest of Asia, and also have a new balance between Asia and the West.